Hey everybody, we are Frankie, Lucas, and Terry from the Canadian Awareness Network. On March 15th, there was an International Day Against Police Brutality protest in Hamilton. It was the first year that Hamilton has held one of these annual events, so we went out to cover it. When we first arrived, it was 7 p.m., and the protesters had gathered at the McNabb bus station. The majority of them wearing all black, faces covered, doing their usual protest things. Now, Frank and Lucas here went into the crowd to try to interview some people while I sat back and just shot some footage. So I'll let these guys talk to you about what they experienced when they went into the crowd to try to do an interview, which we've done at many other protests and rallies before.
Well, pretty much saw Warren Francis. He was handing out flyers, so I told him to give me some, so I can hand out flyers, get to know people or whatever. And then I was planning on asking them, what are some solutions to end police brutality? That's all I wanted to do. And also I wouldn't have minded somebody consenting to an interview where they were like, I wanted to be like, hey, why are you here today? What's this protest about? And what are some solutions to police brutality? That was my main goal, but nothing else. And what happened was we got
first I was chilling behind you with the camera and basically filming you hand out those pamphlets and educate people on the information within the pamphlets. And then we were approached by one of the people that we had a past confrontation with from the Occupy movement. And this was an individual that I previously had quite an interaction with. I was pushed into a horse during, I was pushed almost into a horse, sorry, a police horse, by one of these protesters. And he came up to me and Frankie and told us that we don't want you here. You're not welcome, right?
Yeah, and then he went on to call me a snitch, that we're collaborating with the police, because at another anti-police rally that I attended in 2013, I went with the camera. It was me and Heather, and I was trying to do the same thing, but that day I was actually kind of semi-able to do a good video. But I went up and all I asked the guys, I'm like, I got nothing against people wearing masks. I mean, I defend the right to remain anonymous if you want to put a face mask on, whatever. I got nothing against that. But I was just asking the question. I was just asking, why are you wearing a mask? That's all. I wasn't bashing them. My question.
It was just a question.
It was just a question. So I don't know. Anyway, so he's saying that we tried to demask them. And he's saying that by us filming them or whatever, we're putting people at danger, even though there was hundreds of people videotaping it.
Even people there that weren't there for it, that were just seeing it on the street, pulled out their cell phones.
Yeah.
And we're recording it.
And this guy went into delusions. He's like, oh, it has escalated a lot between us. And I'm like, I have no idea what he's talking about, because that was the first time, or that was actually the second time I ever had a confrontation with him.
All right, so while we're having this conversation with this individual, we tried to explain, me and Frankie tried to explain to him that we both have, all three of us have a mutual goal to make the city a safer place in regards to police activity. We told the guy that, we do have differing views. We have had conflicting behaviors in the past, but that we're willing to put that behind us in order to make progress in the city. And he was unwilling to do that. He just kept dismissing whatever we had to say, and ultimately didn't want to work with us in any way to help make changes. We told him about the police meetings. I told him that there's police meetings every month. If you want to help make change, instead of doing these protests all the time, why don't you come and bring the people that are in these protests to the police meetings, right?
so basically, you know, they didn't have any solutions, the whole crowd. All they wanted to do was walk around and, you know, shout.
Yeah, it's been, like after you guys talked to them, how it ended, wasn't it? Another woman just came in and told you to shut the F up.
Oh yeah.
Just shut the F up. Shut the F up.
Oh yeah, I got
Like,
yelled
listen.
at. Yeah, I got yelled at, and you know, while I'm trying to make amends with them, while I'm saying, hey, whatever. Anyway, and then after that, you know, they were doing creative stuff. They had some people playing drums, but when they got to the police station, I did not agree with what they were doing. They were advocating violence against the police. The one guy was yelling stuff like,
you're gonna get shot in the face.
yeah, like straight up telling the cops this.
Like to their face.
To their face. And, you know, saying, hey, if you don't change your ways, the people are gonna rise up in violent ways. Like,
no reason. Kill us anymore. Andreas Tenor. Over even less. You guys are fucking murderers. You're a dirt. You're not worth my fucking respect. Shame, shame, shame. Woo! You will change. You will change. You will change. This is Canada. Your days are running. Woo! They're all being killed.
Is that what he said?
Can't hear what he's saying right now? He's saying
No, I did not check the
There will
film.
be a day when people will take their life for being phony police officers. You serve and protect the people, no. You serve and protect money. You gotta get rid of Ryan Tosha. He's a cancer amongst you. And we know it, and you know it.
like, okay, Terry and I, we go to these police board meetings and they straight up say they expect riots. And Terry and I are like, why would they? Now I know why they expect riots, because of these types of people going up to the police saying stupid things like that.
And they had no message during the whole protest. It was cops, pigs, murderers, F the police,
Whose streets are streets?
whose streets are streets. No information was being handed out. They weren't interacting with the public. I saw people coming out of restaurants and seeing it on the street. And they were just disgusted by it. There was families in restaurants.
Yeah.
While these guys are going by, F the police, get those animals off those horses. It was nothing but an agitation event. Agitating the police, agitating the community.
Like we picked up the slack a bit, right? As they were gathering all the attention of making music and doing their yelling stuff. While the people came out, at least, you know, once in a while, I went up to these people and I told them what's going on. You know, 1 minute statement, just so they know why people are walking down the street.
I think the most telling thing about the protest for myself was that a lot of these groups consider themselves like unity, you know, the collective. We don't leave anybody behind. We're all one big group. Well, when the cops chased down one of the protesters for lighting off a firework, detained him, they all came. I was the first one to go over. They slowly came over, a small group of them. And within a couple minutes, after the police told the rest of the protesters, oh, he's just getting a fine, they all left. And left that person still detained by the police. So, but if you see them online talking about these things, or in forums talking about these things, they are there till the end. They're there to support each one of each other.
Yeah, they were all gone. They
were all gone. It was actually us with the cameras who stuck around
to make
sure there was no police brutality.
So when they were threatening the cops with violence, what was the police response to them?
The police stayed quiet. They stood their
They
ground.
took it. They didn't even charge the guy or nothing, but for whatever reason they decided to ticket the one guy because they were shooting fireworks at the building, and I'm not sure if you caught that on film or not.
I'm not sure either. I have to review the film. But yeah, they ticketed a man for shooting off fireworks.
But they wouldn't.
And they did nothing about the guy threatening them with violence right in front of their faces.
Hey Terry, what's the weird thing that guy shouted that you caught on camera? That he's like an illegal immigrant or something?
Oh yeah, at the end, you might like this part.
Drunk because alcohol is legal, but more destructive than anything else.
You know what's legal? Me being here with
Hamilton recently became Canada's second sanctuary city for illegal immigrants, or as they like to call them, undocumented
So what's that?
workers.
What's that mean though?
Basically, that any city services are not going to ask anybody what their immigration status is. If an illegal immigrant calls the Hamilton police, the police are not going to ask him about his immigration status. In essence, not enforcing Canadian law. They're allowing illegal immigrants to stay without question. So anyways, at the end of it, the one guy yelled out, man, I effing love Canada. I'm not here legally. I can do whatever I want. I can yell at the police, and I get to go and have a beer. Wasn't it? It was like basically,
Yeah, straight up.
He was happy at their inaction. He was enthused by it, you know. I love this country for the things that are destroying it. It was incredible.
So basically, these people, like they personally know us. They don't like us, and you know, I have spoken with them about their political ideologies and stuff like that, and they absolutely believe in their hearts that the only way to bring in change is to be a radical and to promote violence. Like in their minds, you know, they do want change just like all of us do, but in their minds they truly believe they have to be violent to achieve that. And that's where we differ, and that's where they don't like us.
It's a violent-based ideology, but violent-based protests.
Yeah.